You only need enough courage to take the first step and kind of box yourself in and then roll with it. So like once you've made the phone call and going, okay, I'll come over and we'll figure it out. Damn it, now I've got to go over there and figure it out. It's like you only need the courage to sign up for the race. You only need the courage to take that one moment of going, yes, damn it, I said yes, and now I have to do it. People think you need some mountain of courage and self-belief. You generally just need a little bit, just enough to get you over the line, and then you're like, damn it, now we're in. Okay, well, keep running, kid, because we're in.
Mr. Paul Watkins, thank you so much for joining me on the pod today. I don't think Paul Watkins is enough of an introduction, and I actually don't know how to introduce you because you've done so many crazy things in your life. So why don't you tell me how I should be introducing you?
I know that some MCs are like, what do I do with this guy? I don't know what to say. Like, the resume's all weird. He's this, but he did that, but then he did this, and this makes no sense or whatever. And I think the best intro I ever got, the MC, she got up and she looked at the bio. They give you the official bio, and she just went, oh, God, I don't know. Look, half Bear Grylls, half Harry Potter. There you go. Off you do.
Yeah.
And I took that line from there and I've used it a lot because it's about right. So I'm like, yep, fantastic. I'll take it.
Oh, see, I thought that was yours. But good on you for giving credit where credit's due.
You know what? That's all we need. That gives you enough of an inkling of where we're going. We'll roll with it.
Awesome. So just to provide some context, you came gold in the Arctic ultramarathon, 614 kilometres. You came silver in the Lapland Arctic ultramarathon, 503 kilometres. You do insane things in your life, not once, but twice and 3 times. And then when you're finished that, you decide to go and do more crazy stuff. So what...
When you put it like that, yeah.
What drives you?
It sounds like a simple question, but in reality, it's not. Like, you can get very
Aren't we
deep.
lucky we've got at least 45 minutes together?
So prepare yourselves, people. It's 5 hours, the answer to this one question, and it's the whole podcast, and we're done.
You didn't think it would be easy, did you?
No. It is a good question, and understanding why you do things is really important, particularly when you're doing very hard things, because there will be a time when it's just impossible, or it seems impossible, or insurmountable, or you hate it and you just want out. And understanding why you were there and the reasons you put yourself there and things that are at stake and the people that are making sacrifices for you help you get through some of those hard times. So for me, look, I love just having those adventures in those places. I don't do them because they're shiny things when you come home. Like the vast majority of races I've done and expeditions, no one's ever heard of them. No one cares. There's no money. You'll get no recognition at all. But that's not why I do it.
Sorry to stop you, but do you just like Google search, okay, what are the most weird ultra marathons that nobody has ever heard of in the most remote places possible? Yeah, that looks good to me.
If it's not on page 10 or deeper of Google, why would you go? Like, it needs to be way up the back. So part of it is you want to have that adventure in that place for you to have that experience as a human being. And the other side of it is that for me, it's been the one vehicle I've found where I can physically, mentally, and emotionally dig all the way to the bottom of the well and see who I am when you've kind of taken all that away. So if you go on one of these really huge expeditions or you're climbing a massive mountain, you know, mountains don't care about your business card. They don't give a stuff where you are on the org chart. They don't care how much money you earn. All they care about is, did you do enough work to have the right to even attempt this? Not even saying you'll get it done. Just to be here to begin, and then we go from there. So for me, it really is a vehicle, a very personal vehicle that's allowed me to test myself and kind of see where I've landed. And
what have you learned about yourself from delving into those depths?
Quite a lot. And I make that joke about the fact that I'm only, I'm a nerdy dad from, a country town that I'm below average height and poor eyesight, which makes me just stunningly normal. But in reality, you're capable of all these kinds of different things that you probably aren't qualified for. Like I say, I've gone and done all these things I'm uniquely not qualified for. But I've gone and done them because I just wanted to add to my story. Can I do this? I don't know. I'll go try it. We'll find out. What's the worst that can happen? Well, you'll fail and you'll come home and have to tell your friends you couldn't do it. But out of that experience, you will still have experience and you'll still have knowledge. And you're still going to go to some amazing places and see some amazing stuff. Write your story, go out and fill chapters and see what comes. And if you are successful, you're starting to add bits to your map about what you can do.
Yeah. All right. We had a couple of recording issues. Here we are back again. I was asking you about the crazy things you've done because I would look at everything you've done and go, that's bonkers, that's mad. I would never do that in a million years. Do you look back at anything that you have done and gone, can't believe I did that?
Yeah, quite a lot of it. Quite a lot of it. And it's not just the adventure stuff. People assume that, oh, you look back and, oh, how did I climb that mountain, all those kind of things. But sometimes they're business things as well. And you go, how did I end up here doing this? So, like, a prime example of that was I was training for an expedition, and a long story, but I ended up going to a CrossFit gym here locally and really enjoyed the community, blah, blah, blah. Talking to the guy who ran it, he was great at marketing, not so good at the back office stuff. I'm like, hey, I run businesses. Do you want a partner? Like, why don't I join, like, buy half of the gym? So, spare of the moment, I bought half of the gym. And then a little while after that, he wanted to move back to his hometown and open a gym there. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy you out. So I bought him out, and oh, hell, I'm a nerd and I own a gym. Like, this was never part of the plan. But I'm a tight ass, so I don't want to pay full retail to fit out this gym. How can I get, kind of retail equipment at a lower price? Well, the big boys just import it directly. Well, can I do that? I don't know. Let's find out. So I made some phone calls, and a couple of weeks later, I'm flying to Shanghai and I'm going through warehouses trying to source equipment and talking to suppliers and chatting to this expat guy about how we can do logistics for shipping containers. And you look around going, what am I doing here? How did I get here? How did this happen? So quite often it's not about extreme physical things. It's just about going down the rabbit hole of going, can I do that? I don't know. Well, how do you find out? Well, you just try and see what happens. And you meet weird people and you go to fantastic places and you do strange things and learn new skills, and all of a sudden the toolkit looks different, because now I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to, organise shipping containers from Shanghai and get them from here to there, and I know what all these terminologies are and how that works. And they don't teach you that at pharmacy school, but all of a sudden you've got that in the toolkit. So I like going down those rabbit holes of just becoming a fully fledged human being that can do weird stuff.
So are you fearless? Would you say you're fearless? Or
I'm nervous about everything. All the time.
So how do you feel the nerves that everybody would feel? Let's say talking about, going to Shanghai to just randomly buy equipment that you've never done. Do you have a part of you that goes, oh, I'm not really sure, but you just ignore it? Like, what internally happens?
No, there's a large part of me that's like, what are you doing, son? You should not. And part of me finds that you only need enough courage to take the first step and kind of box yourself in and then roll with it. So like, once you've made the phone call and going, okay, I'll come over and we'll figure it out. Damn it, now I've got to go over there and figure it out. It's like, you only need the courage to sign up for the race. You only need the courage to take that one moment of going, yes, damn it, I said yes, and now I have to do it. People think you need some mountain of courage and self-belief. You generally just need a little bit, just enough to get you over the line, and then you're like, damn it, now we're in. Okay, well, keep running, kid, because we're in. And it's enough. And then you start to get just that little bit of, oh, well, I've booked this, or I've organised that, or I did that. I'm like, oh, I've made a little bit of momentum, and maybe what's the next little bit? And all of a sudden you start stacking bits because you're in it, and now you're making progress. And that's a different mindset, because you're here and you're doing it, so you might as well get on with it. It requires less than you think.
So the idea is that you do little bits and that momentum gives you confidence, or you just put 2 feet in and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I can't back out. Well, sounds like there's multi things going on.
Yeah, you've got to have the courage to start and just take that first leap. And then you build the self-belief by building the evidence that you can believe in yourself. Okay, well, I got myself here. I made that call and I've gone to that event, or I've organised to go to Shanghai, or I've organised to do this race. So now I need to become the person that does those kind of things. See, you do a training run, or you network with somebody, or you place your first order, or you do your research, whatever. You start building this back catalogue of things that you've done that you can look back every now and then and go, oh no, I've got some evidence here that I can be confident that I can take the next small step. And do that, and then that gets added to the big pile of evidence here. And you take another small step, add it to the pile of evidence, and you just accrete. And all of a sudden, you start building this huge mountain of proof that you are actually who you say you are, which is someone who could do that kind of thing. And you're like, oh, I did it. And now you've done it. And wow, okay, now I can move on to the next thing. The next thing is not easier. If you're pushing out the frontier of the map all the time, you're always going to have that fear and you're always going to have that concern. But the process still works. Have the courage to take the first step, start stacking bits of evidence that you're the kind of person that can do this. Rinse, repeat. And off you go.
Yeah, the difference is, though, some people will be like, oh, I'd really like to try bungee jumping, so maybe I'll try rock climbing indoors, and then maybe in like 6 months I'll see if I'm brave enough. Your little bits of evidence are globally across the world where they don't speak English, you're in minus 36-degree temperatures, and you get snotsticles.
But really important point is, yeah, well, there is that. But what's really, really important is that that's not entirely true, because my first things were tiny things. Like my very first trek, like I was super unhealthy, overweight, overworked, can't do this. What am I doing? And it was a very basic trek in a foreign country. And I remember getting off the plane on my own, sitting in like a little transit bus to get to the hotel, looking out. It was a third world country. I'm like, oh boy, we are not in Kansas anymore. Like, what are we doing? Freaking out. And it was a very basic trek. It never got freezing cold. You never had any worries about anything. No snotsicles. It was low grade. And then you just went, oh, I'm the kind of person that could do that. What would be the next thing? I will do something a little harder. And then you iterate. To get to the point of being in -40, dragging a sled across the Arctic Circle with a snotsicle, that took me over 2
Wait,
decades.
can you please explain what a snotsicle is? Because there's a little context here that I understand.
Well, that's true.
And now everybody should have the same visual.
Yeah, Jordana's seen the picture. So a snotsicle is when you have a really big icicle hanging off your beard. So a prerequisite is a beard, or just big frozen snot icicle hanging off the front of your face. And you get them when you trek across the Antarctic or Arctic or somewhere like that. And I've had my fair share. But the point is, like, it took me 25 years to get to that point. And people forget that. And social media is a killer for this. You look at someone's finely framed, finely digitalized, finished product. But you forget that it probably took them 100 versions of that photo, let alone the 20 years they spent getting to the point where they looked like that or were doing those things. So go back to your bungee jump example. It's entirely okay to go, I'd love to bungee jump, but I might do that little rock climbing thing, or do a park run with my kids, or go to the gymnastics centre and have a play on the father-son day, or whatever it is. Because that's how all the people that did the big things did it. They did a little thing first. And they just iterated up. No one woke up and went, 600 Ks, going to do that. That sounds great. And then do it. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. What else is on your list of to-dos?
I don't know. It's a very evolving list, because a lot of it is a case of going, well, where does curiosity take me? And being cognizant of the fact that when you do big expeditions or big races, I get the cool photos. But there's a whole host of people that don't get cool photos who are supporting me to do it. Like, my wife's at home juggling full-time work and kids, and my parents are helping, and her folks are helping, and people haven't seen you while you've been training, and you're not going to events and all that kind of stuff because you're working. So you've got to be cognizant that you get the good picture, but there's people making sacrifices on your behalf so you can get that good picture. So don't be frivolous about, I'll just go do that. So yeah, well, no, you've got responsibilities. So I have quite a process about before I go do big things. Smaller things like local races, in Victoria, Australia, I'll do quite a lot because I can kind of logistically fit it in, and it's not as much of a hiccup in the home world and those kind of things. But anything big generally takes, a couple of years of planning, thought. Is this the right thing? Why do I want to do it? Is it the right place, right time? Is it going to work? What's the run-up look like, the training? How are we going to do this? Yada, yada. They're not flippant ideas.
When it comes to personal growth and you consider a brand new idea, what takes it from the no into the yes, definitely have to do that category?
For an expedition or a race, I kind of have two processes. So the first is, if I see a race and go, oh, that looks amazing, I'd love to go do that. Don't tell anyone anything for at least a month, and just let it ruminate around in your head. And at the end of the month, reflect, honestly, how much did you think about it? And if you didn't think about it much, well, it's not really that important, is it? So for you to ask other people to make sacrifices, that's not fair. If you did think about it a lot, you're like, oh, this is sticky. Like, it's got some stick to this. This could be a real thing. The next question is the really hard one that you have to be really honest about, which is, if you could do it and no one would ever know, and you could never tell us all, do you still want to do it? So are you doing it for you because you want that growth as a human being in that experience? Or are you doing it because you want to get on the podcast and tell Jordana that you did it? Because they're two very different people.
Yeah.
And when the chips are down, it's really bad. If you're just doing it to tell someone else, you'll throw the towel in. If you're doing it because I'm here for me and I don't care what anyone else thinks, no one even knows what I'm doing, it doesn't matter, you will have a very different kind of mental and emotional approach to how you tackle the really hard bits. So for me, that's that two-step process of really evaluating, why are you doing this? Is this the kind of thing that you must do? And then you can be fully committed because you know you've made a valid choice.
Yeah. Do a lot of people come to you and ask for advice to do their own big adventure experiences?
Yes and no. So the yes part is I get people who come to me and go, I'm going to attempt a race that you've done. Can I get some feedback on how you tackled legit? Like they've already gone through that mental process and they've got to, right, we're committed and we're doing it. The other aspect is I spend a lot of time talking to people about how do I get my brain to work in the way that I start looking for these things that I want to do and start removing the barriers. They don't come to me going, oh, I want to run a marathon or want to trek Kokoda or climb a mountain or whatever. Quite often they're at the point going, I just know something's wrong and I don't know what it is. But I just feel like I phrase it this way. They get to a point in their lives and they go, is this it? Like, do I just keep working now? Do I do another 30 years of this and then retire? Is this it? And I had the same thing of going, is this it? Do I just keep working really hard and hope that I retire with enough money and my knees still work and I can go do all the things that I think I want to do? So when they come to me with that question, is this it? Then we start to unpack that and go, well, what's the story you're telling yourself? What's the voice in your head telling you about what you want to do, or what you think you can do, or why you think you can't do that, or how you feel about these things? So we unpack some of that, and then we look at building a toolkit around what's the mental and behavioural tools you want in the toolkit. So when things start to come up, I start to look at them differently, going, oh, I wonder if I could do that, versus going, I couldn't do that. I'm just a mum or a dad or a plumber or an accountant. I couldn't do that. Versus, I wonder if I could do that. I don't know. Let's find out.
Why do you think we limit ourselves so much?
I think it's comfortable. We're not good with being uncomfortable. Our entire lives are focused around comfort. If you don't want to get up, don't. If you don't want to go out for food, just order it. They'll bring it to you. Like if you don't want to drive there, just have someone come and pick you up. Like you can, whatever you don't want to do, we have a solution for that. Not a problem. Just they'll come over and they'll do it for you. You don't have to worry. So anything outside of the bounds of that almost feels like an inconvenience. So for us, the idea of getting into that uncomfortable area is like, why would I do that? I don't have to do that. And there's really no cost for it. Like if I eat poorly and don't really take care of my health, I'll go to the pharmacist, I'll get a pill, I'll put me on Ozempic and I'll be fine. It looks like there's very little consequences to whatever choice you want to make. And the harsh reality is that there are consequences. They just don't arrive on a timetable that you expect. So they generally turn up far in the distance or tomorrow at 10:28 when you weren't expecting them or whatever it is. But there are consequences and they are out there. That's kind of, the dark denizens of the world are coming to, ruin your day and that kind of stuff. But there's also that risk of you get to a point in your life going, I wanted to do that. Or all of a sudden I've discovered that I didn't want to do that for 10 years and I did. Why did I do that? So it's just opening those doors to thinking differently about that story you tell yourself about what you want to do and why do you want to do it. And you can get really deep in the rabbit hole down that whole thing of going, there's what you want and there's what you want to want. And quite often what we want to want is what we think other people want us to want. Well, I work with these people and they have an expectation that the people that work with those people look this way, dress that way, drive that car, talk about these things, do those things. So I now want those things for me because that means I fit in that group. And I've spent a long time divesting myself of that. I don't really care what people think. What do I want? I want this, that, and the other. Well, that means you won't fit in that group anymore. So, I don't care. So what? It's my story and I'm writing it, please. And I want to do this. And I'd like to do that. And I'm going to take a little piece of that. And that means that I don't really perfectly fit anywhere. But I can kind of fit in a lot of little different places and talk to a lot of different people about a little bit of different things. And I think that makes you really interesting and it makes you really useful. So it's kind of how my brain works around that.
You were a pharmacist and you just sort of mentioned it. Did what you see in terms of what people needed to be treated for in any way inspire you to want to just do these things while you can, while you're fit, while you're healthy?
Yes and no. I made a much better business person than I did a pharmacist, which is why I probably got out, because I had really successful businesses. I grew really big businesses very quickly, which was great from a perspective of setting myself up, but terrible from a perspective. It just nearly killed me because I just, off we went. And I probably was a terrible pharmacist because people would come in after the latest thing that they'd seen on a current affair. And I'd be like, put that down, get outside, go for a walk. We can't, and your boss would be, you can't sell that, mate. Like that, I didn't make any margin on that advice. Like, yeah, no, but it was the right thing for them to do. It's like, yeah, but I didn't sell them anything. I know, but it's the right thing for them to do. So a lot of it was a case of going, I understand the medical side. Like I'm a scientist, I understand, and it's fantastic, and the things we can do are incredible. But there's a whole flip side to that, to going, you can help yourself a lot, like a lot. And you don't need to hand me your hard-earned cash to do it. You just need to clean some stuff up, and you might just need someone to help you navigate to find that kind of way. And you do. You see people, and you're like, oh, is that going to be me in 30 years? Well, how did they get to that position? And it's not a judgment call. It could be all manner of reasons, but you start to look at it proactively and go, what can I do to make sure that I don't end up in that position? Because I don't want to end up in that position. The primary reason people end up in nursing homes is a lack of mobility. They just fall over, or they can't get up out of the chair, or easily get in and out of bed. Simple things like that. And you're like, I don't want that. I want to be the cool granddad who's running around picking up the kids and doing stuff. How do I deal with that? Well, you start now, and you start working your way up there. So it gives you a little bit of kind of free perspective on what the future might look, and then you have to have the cognizance to take control of going, well, I would like to narrate my future, thank you, and this is what I want it to look like. So what do I have to do now?
Awesome. And you're not a fan of motivation, are you?
No, I'm not. No. I think it has become, it's like a meme, and I like the fact that a lot of us have moved from that conversation of being motivated. Because motivation's a feeling. It'll come and go. It's an emotion. It'll lie to you and be impacted by all manner of things. And then we move the conversation to resilience, which I think is really good, because we're starting to talk about dealing with some hard things and those kind of things, which is good. But for me, resilience is about surviving. Oh, yeah, tough times come in and you'll be okay. We'll take a knock back, we'll come back, and we'll return to where we were. And I think that leaves this entire upside conversation off the table, which is, you don't want to be fragile. If I drop you, you'll break. Being resilient is good. If I drop you, you'll be okay. But imagine if I dropped you and you bounced back and you were stronger. Imagine being that. And that's the opposite of fragile. So that's anti-fragile. All of a sudden you're like, not only do I know I can cope with hard things, if I do hard things, I actually get stronger. And that's a really different mindset for people to be in. When people go, oh, I managed to do that not because they lowered the bar for me, but because I got better and stronger. Well, put the bar up, Chief. Let's see what we can do. And all of a sudden, it's an entirely different discussion and mindset. So motivation for me is tired. We need to move on. We partially have to resilience, which is good, but we're missing the whole upside. There's all this money left on the table for performance of moving toward being anti-fragile.
And so curiosity drives everything you do.
To a degree, yeah, to a degree. Can I do that? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's have that experience. Let's meet those people. Let's try that. And it doesn't always work. Like I've got as many DNFs. I did not finish on races as I have great finishes. I've got mountaineering expeditions that worked and ones that didn't. And that's part of the human experience. You think of a good story. It's never, Jordana woke up, she did this, it was fantastic, the end, roll credits. It's always ups, downs, heroes, villains, drama, setbacks, how are you going to overcome this? They're the ones you love. So why should your story be any different? You accept that that's part of the human condition. Sometimes it's going to be a shit sandwich and I'm going to deal with it. And that's going to make a great story of how I dealt with that, or the time I did this, or I had frozen snot on my face, or whatever it is. That's the stuff that makes you interesting to you and to other people.
But what do you love about the Arctic? What is it about extreme temperatures that has a special allure or a level of extra curiosity for you?
I don't think it's...
Because you're taking an impossible feat and making it 1,000 times harder.
That's because I'm stupid. Part of it's a scientist in me. I really approach these races as an equation to solve. How do I solve this equation? Okay, well, what are the parameters of the environment we'll be in? It's going to be minus 40, katabatic winds. You're going to be operating day and night, 24/7, no support. You're going to drag your own gear. What do I need? How can I make sure that the equipment that I have can serve multiple functions? How am I going to deal with the cold? How am I going to deal with nutrition? How am I going to deal with sleep, hydration? And for me, it really becomes a part of how can I solve all these little equations? And if you get them right and you integrate them right, you're giving yourself the best chance to actually have a good outcome. So it's not for me like, I just love getting cold. That's really challenging. It's very complex. It's a real knot to unravel. It's a Gordian knot. I like it. How can I just pull this apart bit by bit and see if I can solve that?
So strategy, puzzle, equation, method drives you. How do you keep emotion out of it? Because that's the one thing that can come in and just obliterate any strategy that you got.
It's very true. Has a good way to explain this. This comes back partially to the motivation thing. Motivation is the icing on the cake. It's not the cake. You have to have discipline first. So if I'm looking at it in a racing context, if you get halfway through the race, you can't suddenly become someone who is disciplined and all of a sudden start doing it because you haven't trained that skill and you haven't got the reps in to understand what true discipline looks like. But you can be disciplined and get halfway or 2/3 through the race and become motivated. You might look at something like, for me, it might be my kids, something that will really motivate me to dig and push that little bit extra. So motivation is a tool in the toolkit, but it is not the foundation. And I think that's where people get it wrong. We think, I've got to be motivated to do it. No, you just have to do it. And motivation will come as a result of the actions that you take. So start with action, start with the discipline, get those reps in, and then you can add motivation on top. Does not work the other way around.
Yeah. So your starting base is sort of, in terms of advice, is do the little things, stack them up, and then you have your own pool of proof. What else would you say to inspire people to fuel their confidence? Whatever it is they're afraid of.
That mountain of evidence is really important, that belief that you can do something. And how do I get that belief? Well, you don't get it by, shouting it in the mirror that you believe, but you go do it. You've got
I love the little sideways segue of affirmations don't work.
You've got to look for
wait,
the evidence.
so you're saying I am an ultramarathon runner. I am an ultramarathon runner. That doesn't make me an ultramarathon runner.
No, you know what does? Running an ultramarathon. So what do? You go do park run with your kids. You do 5K. And now you're the kind of person that can do 5K. And if you can do 5, you can do 10. And then you become the person who can do 10. If you can do 10, you can do 21. And now you're doing half. And all of a sudden, you're building that, iterating that evidence that you are the kind of person that can do these things, and you build your way up. There kind of is no shortcut. And I say to people, doing the work is the shortcut. Everyone's looking for what's the motivational thing that I have to watch, or the YouTube video that I have to watch to give me the motivation to do it. While you're looking for all the shortcuts, people like this mug are out just doing it.
Yeah.
I'm finished. I've done it. I didn't wait for motivation. I didn't look for the right thing to motivate me to do it. I took action, and the action led me to go, now I'm motivated to do more because I've got evidence that I'm the kind of person that can do it. I've got some reps in. I've learnt some stuff that I got wrong, and I know how to be a little bit more disciplined next time, and I can go from there. And I should put some context around it, because I talk about discipline a lot, and people think that, this guy's going to be David Goggins and get up at 4:30 every morning. I like to reframe discipline as you don't have to be sad, drink a kale smoothie, and think about the Roman Empire. It's really about self-love. It's really about, if you said, I just wish I was disciplined enough to lose that weight, or to get fit so I could do that with the kids, or I want to be able to wear that suit that my wife thought I looked fantastic in. Why wouldn't you support yourself? Why wouldn't you be your biggest cheerleader to go, dude, you can do this. You are going to do this. We're going to do what we have to do because it's in your best interest, and I want you to win because you're me. Let's go. So discipline, really, when you start thinking about it in those terms, no longer becomes this horrible thing that you have to do and you have to be angry about it. It can be, the alarm goes off because I'm going to get up and walk the dog. I'm going to be cheerleading my head going, man, this is another step. Tomorrow you're going to wake up and be really glad that you did that yesterday, because you're a step closer to what you want, and that's to go for that run with your kids or whatever it is. I'm just using those examples that aren't extreme or crazy, but are really real for a lot of people.
So you said if we stopped looking for shortcuts and we just took action, we'd be doing a lot more?
You'd be ahead. The work is the shortcut. That's the shortcut. That's the thing that no one tells you. Just go do the thing, and then you're done. That's it. You don't need an AI tool to do it. You don't need to meditate on it for hours or read your motivational mantra. Just go and do it, and then you're done.
4 words, just do the thing.
Yeah, just do the thing. Just off you go. And start building your mountain of evidence. Start with action, and then everything else will follow.
And baby steps. Because you're a 25-year overnight success.
Ultramarathon
Arctic.
Like all of them. Like, I've become my own meme. Like, I'm an overnight success and it took me 25 years. But it's true. Like, don't look at other people's finished product and then compare it to your work in progress. Because you're just setting yourself up to fail. You're telling yourself a terrible story. So, how do I tell myself a better story? Well, understand that that's their finished product and you're a work in progress. So let's focus on your story and go from there.
Thank you so much, Harry Potter / Bear Grylls.
Anytime.
You're an absolute legend. I am going to think of a quest, make it outrageous, put my baby steps in place, put together a strategy and come back to you and just be like, does this look good? And you'll be like, yep, amazing. Go for gold.
I'll be watching. I'll be waiting for updates.
With hair like this, you don't get snotsticles. What do you get?
You'll get
Pearls.
amazing photos because you'll have all the little wispy, icy bits and some of the... I should point out that the longest Arctic race that I've done, the one that I won, the race record is held by a woman and no one will ever touch it. Like, she just blew everybody away because they're incredible endurance athletes. But they tend to get fantastic photos because they have longer hair and they get these little ice wisps and the photos look amazing. So you'll get great photos if you decide to do that.
Yeah, just do it for Instagram photos. Nailed it.
What do you think I'm doing it for?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.